This is Clean Radio.
Welcome, KFWB News Talk 980 Los Angeles, our flagship station. Also, people listening on Sirius XM channel 165, and people listening to us on the worldwide at cleanradio.com. You are listening to Clean Radio Live, and I'm in the studio tonight with the amazingly talented and stunning Andrew Spanswick.
Hey, Judah, how's it going?
What's going on?
It's good to be here again. I think this is 2 weeks in a row, right? That
Yeah,
I actually made the show.
Yeah, it's, you've been traveling a lot.
I was in Washington this whole week. We just opened up a outpatient service in Astoria Point, Oregon.
Where the Goonies...
Astoria, Oregon.
What's
where
famous,
the Goonies were filmed,
right?
And our hospital in Long Beach, Washington State, looks like we'll be open in about 3 weeks, which is really exciting.
That is very exciting. And it's also because it's affordable care for people. And
yeah, we picked up, a location where the cost of us providing treatment is very low. So we're able to provide treatment at, really high quality treatment at a great price, and often fully covered by insurance, which is great.
Which is awesome. And the show tonight is sponsored by treatmentline.com. It's an awesome service for people out there that are listening. If you need to go out and find a rehab, there's a site that actually goes and does the checking for you. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I read a story today. Yeah, I read the National Enquirer sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I read it online, and I was reading about a rehab that 3 people had died within 9 months at this treatment center. And, obviously if you go to the Enquirer, you'll read the story. It's about Narconon, which is the rehab which is
owned by the Church of Scientology.
Owned by the Church of Scientology.
And run by.
Yes. And it got me thinking, because there are a lot of... I was 18 when I went to my first rehab, and I was 18 and 19. I went to the same rehab 3 times. And basically what it was is these people, the rehab had my parents' number and basically had my parents' bank account at that point, and were like, every time I would mess up, they'd be like, just put them right back in, like they knew exactly where I was and they would throw me back in. And, I'm not going to, it saved my life because I wasn't on the streets drinking as much, but, had my parents had knowledge that there were other places available. And I think that's a very dangerous thing sometimes, so for people out there that are listening, if you are thinking about rehab, or you are thinking about really pretty much anything you want to go to that has doctors, look into it.
Also, there's a lot of different types of rehab, and obviously, right. I own Clean and with my other partners, and but Clean is very specific in what we do. It's not for everyone. It's, we specialize in dual diagnosis, so we specialize in helping people that have psychiatric illnesses as well as substance abuse. And then our facility in Washington will be pure substance abuse. So, we're doing a broad spectrum of things. And sometimes different people need different things. And that's why I don't mind working with companies like treatmentline.com, where they can help people get localized treatment in their own area. Obviously, we broadcast worldwide. And we, that company is able to help people no matter what. So,
and I also want to thank our fans. We have a lot of really cool fans out there. I want to because sometimes I forget to, thank the fans that are listening to us, that Facebook us, and are asking us constant questions. And it's really cool because, this is one of the scariest topics to talk about is addiction, and it's so funny because we've come so far, but it's still one of those topics that's. How do you,
it's so loaded. I mean, people are, if they're not scared of it, they're angry about a family member, or they mistrust, a bad experience with a treatment facility or with a doctor, and there's a lot of denial involved. And, I've spent, I was just in Britain 2 weeks ago looking at services over there, and it's just amazing how they actually separate alcohol from drugs, because alcohol is so ingrained in the culture. It's not really seen as a drug.
Right.
So their whole alcohol treatment policy is completely different from their drug treatment policy.
By the way, if you just tuned in, you're listening to Clean Radio Live. That's Clean with a K. Give us a call at 888-539-2980. That's 888-539-2980. We are a show about addiction, but we're also a big-time show about recovery. And, because out there, there are a lot of people that are listening that, you watch the news and you see all that stuff and you don't know where the hope is, and because relapse tends to be part of recovery, people are scared, parents, family members, they see somebody getting sober. Where the hope, they don't always get to see the hope.
Yeah, I think, a big part of why we started this show was to give people a sense of life after they get sober, and that, it doesn't fall apart and your life can actually grow by becoming sober. And that's, I think, the major message we try to get across. The other part of this show, obviously, besides introducing guests and people who are in recovery to our listening audience, is just that we can take calls from people that are in crisis right now. And sometimes it's difficult to pick up the phone and ask for help. And the show is a way people can call and
do it totally,
without, make up a name, give us a call.
I think the guests tonight actually have made up their names.
Let's introduce.
We actually have great guests tonight. By the way, if you just tuned in, you're listening to Clean Radio Live. We have a couple of amazing guests. First, we have actor, comedian, world famous,
legendary.
He ran for president of the student union in Alabama.
Without getting shot.
Let's welcome Barry Diamond to the show.
Hey, Barry.
I have changed my name. I have changed my name.
What is your new name?
What's your name?
My name now is Zorro.
The Gay Blade?
Zorro. Not the gay blade, the blade.
Zorro the Blade. That's the sequel to, yes.
The sharp blade.
And also, let's welcome into the studio. He likes to go by executive producer David Gary Martel.
This is he has also changed his name.
What is his name now?
His name is Chingachgook.
I won't be able. David, the way this microphones work is you have to talk into them.
Chingachgook.
Hello.
And welcome to Clean Radio. You might want to.
Thank you for having us.
Can you sit up the whole time?
Yes, I'll try.
Thank you, Dave. So I want to thank you both for coming to Clean Radio. Both of you are sober. You're both comedians. One of you, two of you.
No, he's the comedian.
You're the sober guy.
You're the sober guy.
I'm the sober guy.
What makes you think he's sober?
I don't know. I mean, that's just what I was told.
Look at him.
Somebody better remind you that's not an ice cream cone, David.
Look at that face.
It's a microphone.
Barry Diamond has a face for radio.
And so the people out there that are listening, Barry Diamond has been in everything from, Different Strokes to Friends to Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's on one of the funniest Curb Your Enthusiasm episodes.
Thank you. If you'd like, I could be happy to recreate a scene from the very first motion picture that I ever did.
Which
go
was?
ahead.
Bachelor Party.
Oh, okay, wow. And Bachelor Party.
No, before that. Maybe you'll remember this. Oh, Miss Scarlett, please don't have no baby now. Oh, can't you wait for the Yankee soldiers to arrive, Miss Scarlett? Oh, I don't know nothing about birthing babies, Miss Scarlett.
Wow, I didn't know he's that old.
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And you don't look a day over 70, Barry.
Well, the first film that I did was Battleship Potemkin.
Is this true? I mean, I don't have
we don't know what to believe or not at all
Battleship
times.
Potemkin?
Battleship Potemkin, 1913.
A retrospective.
It was a very, very famous movie by Sergei Eisenstein, something like that.
Huh.
I think.
And if you just tuned in, you're listening to The History of Comedy by legendary comedian Barry Diamond. Also, David, tell us a little bit about yourself, too. If this is the microphone, you can't speak into it.
Yeah, tell them about your career in comedy.
We don't have enough time. Actually,
tell them about all of the clubs you've closed down.
I got to say, I love this. This is one of my favorite things. I grew up in New York. Mm-hmm. I grew up going, to the Catskill Mountains, and, that was just a legendary place. And Barry and I were talking about this before the show, that you got to see that stuff, too. You're getting Grossinger's, the Concord, where all the old-school comedians performed.
It was an extraordinary phenomenon that lasted in this country for 25, 30 years after the Second World War. And it was just country clubs and, well, not country clubs per se, hotels and what were called bungalow colonies, where Jews would escape the heat from the city in the summer and go up to the Catskill Mountains, and they'd spend 2 months in a bungalow with a bunch of other Jews that wanted to escape the heat from the city for the summer, and the husbands would come up on the weekend. They'd work all week, and they'd come up on the weekend and stay with the family, and then go back to the city and work. And there would be entertainment all over the Catskill Mountains. I mean, top entertainment, singers, comedians. There was always comedians, and some of the most famous comedians in the history of the country started there. I mean, I didn't even know there was nobody who was anybody who didn't work
Right.
there. I mean, everybody. Red Buttons, Red Skelton, Milton Berle, Danny Kaye, Jerry Lewis, everybody. Buddy Hackett,
By the way, so you're sober.
Henny Youngman. Yeah.
Did drinking start up in the Catskills? When did this?
No, drinking started when I was a teenager. And it started before that when I was a child, when I first got a taste of getting high with cough syrup. I found out
that's
that
not true. Actually,
it got me a buzz.
Your drinking started much earlier than that.
Right, it started in the womb.
And now he was going to
At
go. He was
your-
going to go for the circumcision joke. Yes, you know. And,
Insert bris.
Yes. By the way, if you just tuned in, you're listening to Clean Radio Live. That's Clean with a K. Give us a call at 888-539-2980. 888-539-2980. We're in the studio tonight with comedian Barry Diamond and executive producer David Martel.
Broadway show-stopping dancer, David Martel.
And by the way, you could watch this video stream live, and
I think he actually runs the classic Curves as well.
Yes. And he's dressed for a safari tonight.
Right.
But no, let's. So we're talking about addiction recovery. We're talking about. So you got basically. You're saying you got high for the first time when you were growing up on cough syrup,
Yeah.
and then it led to alcohol.
Yeah.
Then it led to other things.
Led to alcohol, led to marijuana, and then led to anything that I thought could get me high.
And you were obviously been in the business for a long time. Were you able to drink and use at that time? Was it?
I wasn't able to drink and do a show, but I think there was rarely a show that I wasn't either, smoking pot or high on coke to do a show.
And
that ended a couple of days ago.
Hey, I didn't ask you how long you were sober. I mean, it could be.
Tell him the Vegas story when you're on stage and you had to excuse yourself.
Does he do this all the time to you? Does he always say tell that story?
Well, he has memory issues. So
Okay.
Yeah, that's why she's
why I'm
she's the wife. That's why she's the wife and I'm the breadwinner.
Okay, so tell the Vegas story David wants to hear.
I was drunk at the MGM and I went out on stage and I had forgotten to go to the bathroom before I walked out on stage, and I really had to go to the bathroom. And I just looked out at the audience and just said, "Listen, you may not believe this. And it doesn't really make a difference if you do, but I got to tell you this. I've got to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to walk off the stage because the bathroom right off the side of the stage over there. You guys, if you just sit here and talk amongst yourselves for just for a couple of minutes, I promise you, I'm going to be back in just 2 minutes. So just stay there." And I just went off the side, did my business, and came back and finished the show to standing ovation.
It's quite the story. So
It's not that great a story.
no, it's okay. It's David's extremely happy about the story.
David thinks it's a great story.
It's a great story.
You
And you-
like peeing stories? Or?
Yeah.
Well, we're just talking about stories of.
Am I gonna have to sit like this the whole show
No,
with my hand
absolutely
on you
not.
to make
No, no,
sure
no.
that you're?
Listen, what you guys do here is absolutely fantastic. You obviously want me to tell a little bit about my capacity and what I think about comedy and how it relates to and that's the important
Yeah.
subject. How does comedy, laughter, relate to sobriety? And what I've learned being 15 years clean and sober is that if you can't learn to laugh at yourself, you're missing the biggest joke of your life. That we can't take ourselves too seriously, But we have to take getting sober and staying sober seriously. And that's why the message is very important here, that recovery is important, to get sober and to clean. And you can still have a party. You can still have laughter. You can still have a good time staying clean and sober. It's a very important message, and we'll talk about...
And talk about that a little bit, because that's important, because you have a lot of people out there that are listening right now. It's where we started. We do that a lot. If anybody that goes to a 12-step meeting hears crazy laughter, and if you're a family member and you had just brought in your son with 1 day sober and you heard all this laughter, you'd be like, what are they laughing at? You hear the most morbid stories and people going, ha, 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 ha.
Well,
and so the people out there that are listening, you're basically, that they don't believe you. They might not believe you right now that they're going to laugh one day.
One of the basic elements of comedy is it's tragedy plus time equals comedy. And if you're getting sober and you're out there struggling, it doesn't happen overnight. Time takes time. And when you look back on the wreckage, you know, you're able to laugh at this kind of stuff because it's like so absurd. But time has passed, and it is the comedy
you've
is
forgotten how much you've had to pay for it all.
Yeah, and I'm sure we can all go and that story. That's why I wanted Barry to bring out
You
that
have to
story.
be
It's a
able
funny
to-
story.
Yeah.
Because he's still not doing it. You know,
You have to be
And that's
able
the
to
funny.
laugh at your past. You have to be able to laugh at the wreckage that you've caused, because there's people out there that are trying to kill you.
Well, now we got an issue of paranoia.
Yeah, end scene.
Anyways, can we talk about Barry? Barry and I actually are here to do an
Yes.
intervention on you. We want to
Yeah.
talk about what we really wanted to talk about.
Am I
tonight.
getting any money to be here?
I'm seeing this.
We did give you free food.
This is true. Barry was fed tonight.
Right.
You like that?
did.
Yeah, it was
you
good
were,
stuff.
You were fed every few minutes.
Anyways,
So go on, yes.
Well, no, we see
Until-
the Scientology stuff, and Barry and I, we want to ask you if you want to take a personality test while we're here.
Let's go for it.
Let's go
We're gonna
for
hold
it.
the cones and.
Yes, go for it.
Anyways,
Oh, you actually don't have a test? That was a joke?
No, we're actually
Oh.
we really are practicing Scientologists, and we're about to explore the possibility of becoming Mennonites.
Wow. That's a good combination.
so
But apparently, in order to become a Mennonite, we have to move to Krypton,
so
the land with the yellow sun, or
So
the
every-
red sun. Go,
Go on, David.
So your wonderful audience, they should know that on September 29th, coming up here at Beverly Hills High School Auditorium.
The world is going to get hit with an asteroid. September
Actually-
29th, 5:53 p.m.
I know
Put it
it's
in-
become a
put it in your
conspiracy
calendar.
show.
Make sure
He's
you
not.
have a really
he
good...
actually is not far off.
By the way, before you get into this, if you just tuned in, you're listening to Clean Radio Live, give us a call at 888-539-2980. That's 888-539-2980. We're in the studio tonight with legendary comedian David Martel and and his sidekick Barry Diamond. I'm
Plus,
talking.
Barry's
we're
open.
exploring the damage that drugs and alcohol can do to one's brain.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. It's a service. That's why we're here.
And David was just about to share.
About September 29th, Barry was not far off with the Armageddon. Carmageddon, too, is actually that weekend in Los Angeles. But also that weekend on September 29th at the Beverly Hills High School Auditorium is a 25th annual, I believe it is, comedy show called Yukaholics. And Yukaholics, spelled Yukaholics. And you can Google it, but go to Facebook. Facebook actually has all the details there. It's 2 p.m. and a 8 p.m. show. Tickets are not out yet. I don't know what the prices are, but we will have some free tickets for any callers that call in.
Yes.
And it's a great show. It benefits 13 area recovery homes, wonderful places that accept people, that are down on their luck and don't have any money. And so it's all 501c3 type charity, and 100% of the proceeds go there. And a bunch of comedians, get together and
I will be
put on.
performing there because I am a yuckaholic. I'm a yuckaholic, a yuckaholic, do or die, a real live nephew of my Uncle Bill.
So you'll be performing at Alcoholics, will you be, David?
David will be performing also oral surgery in between acts.
So how long has Alcoholics been going on?
25 years, I believe. Do the math for me. You're the math guy.
No, Andrew will
80,
attest.
what is that,
I am not-
86?
Yeah, it's about 26 years,
Something like that,
27
yeah.
years. So you have a bunch of comedians, and who are the people that go? Sober people, their families.
Everybody. It's open to everybody. Obviously, there's a huge community here in Los Angeles of people that don't drink or use it or sober, and they attend, and their families attend. And,
A lot of Treasury Department agents. And that we can't make sense of that. We don't know where they come from, but they come there, they ask people questions about their taxes and deductions. It makes everybody very, very uncomfortable, but they come, hundreds of them, Treasury agents.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal show. They usually sell out, the evening show and the afternoon show usually tends a very
They
good
give you a
audience.
show, then they kick you in the ass.
Yeah.
And they
It's
say,
it's
"Get the
about
hell outta
4,000
here."
people total that go to
Total, yeah,
It's a
probably
lot
20,
of folks. It's a
two-
beautiful
couple
event.
thousand for
Okay,
the
so
evening
Barry,
show,
if you
1,500
don't
for
mind me
the
asking,
afternoon.
how long have you been sober? How long have you been?
Well, now I've been sober for 2 years and a little over a month.
That's amazing. Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Was it hard? Is it hard performing sober?
No.
So, because I think a lot of people out there are listening, whether it's musicians, and you hear this all the time.
That's
you
right.
hear people that are performance-based actors, and
Right.
go, I can't do. How do I do that sober?
Mm-hmm. Well,
no, it's not. It's not hard to perform sober. It's just that you develop a pattern of behavior that you do over and over and over and over, and you just feel awkward or uncomfortable, not using. So you get into, and then when you break that pattern and you see the clarity and the senselessness of what you've been doing, you hit a bottom or whatever it takes to come to that realization, your life can change. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. It happened to me, and so it certainly is possible. You really just have to have the desire to want to do it. Because you've got to have that, and then if you have that, there's all kinds of help available, and your life will change.
I love how David's yawning as you're telling this story, and he has to hit the cough button to yawn.
I'm a professional.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, but just to expand on that point, I think the bigger picture is that whether you're an artist and you're creative, or you're a doctor, you're a salesman, and or, whatever the case may be. I've been in sales my whole life, and it's like, oh, how do I do that? How do I get to keep the eye of the tiger? How am I able to perform doing whatever my profession is, or who knows what my new profession? It could change. You don't know. But how can I go in? And I remember another comedian friend of mine, and he got clean and sober, and he was so afraid. It was really just, it's all in his head. It was fear. He had been a professional for many years, and he got clean and sober. But the key is that he didn't have to do it alone. You see, he had a friend that he called before he went on that was sober, who went through that experience, and that guided him and walked him through it. So no matter what you're doing, someone else has gone through it, and it's important to realize, if you're going to get clean and sober, if that's a fear, you don't have to do it alone. There's a lot of people that have experience in that.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
I thought you were going to say something, Andrew.
I found that my addictions have changed from drugs and alcohol. Lately, I've had an addiction to Pez.
Well, they're saying sugar is the new toxin.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they've been saying that for years. It's got to be true.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be addictive.
Well, sugar, yeah, absolutely, sugar, chocolate,
and it's got to be poisonous. It's just so.
Caffeine.
It's just so ironic.
So how many Pez do you eat a day?
300-400 Pez. And eight Vicodin.
Where do you actually pick up those Pez? Where would you actually get 400 Pez a day?
99-cent store.
Too cheap to order them online.
I've got the place surrounded at 7 a.m.
And he actually knows when the 99-cent store opens.
Yeah, he knows when the Pez truck comes in and rolls.
Right.
By the way, if you just tuned in, you are listening to Clean Radio Live.
That's the depths of my addiction to Pez.
Right.
Is
follow the delivery truck.
I follow
around.
the Pez truck.
And you are listening to Clean Radio Live. We're in the studio tonight with legendary comedian. I don't even want to say legendary because it sounds like you're almost done.
It's like he's almost dead, or he is dead
my life is
already.
over.
Yeah,
and in fact, I'm 26. I got a whole life ahead of me.
And we're Barry Diamond and legendary comedian also David Martel.
Broadway dancing sensation.
Broadway dancing sensation.
David
He's actually
Martel.
done it all. And he's done it all sober, which is amazing.
Right now, I'm trying to get him ready for the NFL season.
Barry and I are actually here to promote our new business,
Yes.
which we are going to throw on you and surprise you, but I don't know if we could do that now.
Yes,
but,
you can.
Well,
Sure.
Yeah, we have a personal training business that we're putting forth.
Right.
And which the real key to our success with personal training is that we only teach in theory. We don't practice what we preach.
Well, that would explain why nobody goes to the
think
gym
about
memberships.
this. Think about this. Think about it. This is true.
Yeah.
Look at all the private trainers that are out there.
Right.
Right? They are chiseled specimens of human condition. How do you expect a 500-pound fat guy to? And they look at that guy and say, "Hey, man, that's how do I get there? That's a long ways." But a 500-pound fat guy sees
Right. They may be really chiseled and
we're
cut,
somewhere in the middle.
but
We're in the middle.
they're not necessarily an encyclopedia
That's right.
of information.
Not like us.
And knowledge.
But
Not like. First of all, speak for yourself, you big fatso.
But it's almost like you guys are saying when you're newly sober, you don't look at the guy that's 20. The guy that's 20 years sober. That's out of your realm.
That's right.
You look at the guy with 7 days sober for hope. So
We've
it's like
taken that principle
Right.
and put it to
applied
business
it,
practice. So the 400-pound guy could say, yeah, I can achieve what Barry and David have achieved.
And what's amazing is you never
which is 2 to 300.
What exactly?
Yeah,
2 to 300. The 400 guy could get to 2 to 300.
And the amazing thing is you never would have been able to start this business had you both not been sober.
That is absolutely correct. The creative mind is just, amazing once you're able to take away the poison and clean out the wreckage,
And what is the
clean
name
house.
of your business? Have you come up with a name yet?
Diamond Dave Private Training.
That really does cater to a whole.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah,
It's all
that
wrapped
name.
up.
Sounds like a
we
plumbing
have a
company.
whole,
Or a porn company.
we have a whole nutritional program. Our clients, for breakfast, for example, they're on egg whites.
Right.
We eat the yolks because nothing should go to waste. You hear about in the news the yolks are poisonous?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, I
You know
also
about the
just read
yolks
it.
are-
Yeah. I heard they make you
poisonous.
fat, make your hair fall out. I don't know.
They're poisonous to our clients.
Everything is right.
By the way, if you just tuned in, you are listening to, you're listening to Clean Radio Live. If you want to join the discussion, we're having a fun time tonight. We're in the studio with David Martel and Barry Diamond, legendary, not yet comedian. Give us a call at 888-539-2980. That's 888-539-2980. You know what? And there's nothing is better than laughing. We're in a tough time right now. With the economy, with everything, you open up the newspapers and addiction is an all-time high. I got to tell you, there's nothing better than laughing. And yeah,
So
David,
true.
that's all you wanted to say. So
Obviously, you've never had a nice warm Marie Callender's tie. A nice freshly baked Marie Callender's, maybe like a nice coconut custard, or a French apple would be nice.
A French apple.
Or apple crumb, a nice apple crumb with vanilla ice cream on the top of a piping hot apple crumb pie.
And yes, you're listening to Clean Radio.
We're taking a break.
The
Call in
discussion
now.
continues.
We're
Call
going
in.
to start taking calls.
Yeah.
So.
At 888-539-2980. Give us a call.
Are you struggling with an addiction that's ruining your life? Want to have a confidential conversation with a professional that will immediately assist you? Do you suspect a loved one is abusing drugs and would like a free drug testing kit and consultation? KLEAN Treatment Center is standing by right now to help those with addictions and the people who care about them. Call 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. Or go to KLEAN Treatment Center, that's clean with a K, cleantreatmentcenter.com.
Welcome back to Clean Radio. We're in the studio tonight. We're having fun. Give us a call. The number is 888-539-2980. That's 888-539-2980. We're in the studio tonight with almost legendary comedian Barry Diamond.
Not to be confused with the singer.
Not to be, well, which is Neil Diamond, by the way.
Yes, I'm just saying.
I will be legendary as soon as I do something really crazy.
Well, hopefully that will be an hour and a half from now.
You'll see.
And
You'll see.
and David Martel.
This is great.
We're in the studio talking about sobriety tonight. We're talking about fun. We're
About
talking
being
about
fat.
about being fat. A new gym
Yeah.
they're starting.
Being comfortable in your skin.
Fat is
No matter
funny.
how much skin you
It
have.
is.
Fat is funny,
It feels
Yes.
good too.
and it
Skin
feels good.
is the largest organ in the body.
Okay, so you guys are all plus size. I'm in the studio with 3 plus size models: Andrew Spanswick, Barry Diamond, and David Martel.
You're talking about what's between.
Yes, and
Yeah, which organ are we talking
and
about?
okay,
The skin is the biggest organ.
This is a family show.
Yeah,
but
skin.
Andrew,
I'm talking about
I want
skin.
you to tell them your philosophy on this because you enjoy who you are. You enjoy food. You've spoken about this to me. People are always trying to convince people to lose weight.
Yeah, preach on, Andrew.
Nah, I just think that there's a genetic component to it. I mean, obviously, things get out of control.
Right, but we're too hard on people sometimes.
I mean, the amount of life you lose from being able to eat a pizza is not, relative to other things. Of course, we have anorexic Rand, our producer.
Yeah,
who
he is.
claims
I know
he
our producer
claims-
Rand DeWitt is.
we always order food
we
and
have
he
actually
picks
we
at
have
it.
actually been to a restaurant with him. I swear to you, 20 times. We've never seen him eat.
Yeah, he just looks at the food. It's very strange.
I think it's just time to take some calls.
Yeah, let's jump into a few calls. I think we actually have Dave's Eskimo.
They
Which
Joel.
we should explain what an Eskimo is.
Let's
but
welcome Joel.
maybe we'll let Joel.
Are you kidding
explain
me?
it.
Well,
Yeah.
no, to people that are listening.
Hey, Joel, welcome to Clean Radio.
Welcome to Clean Radio.
You've got it.
Unbelievable. I can't believe it's Joel. Aren't you supposed to be in temple?
Explain.
We're all online with you, the whole family, the whole mishpacha.
Okay, to people out there that are listening, that means family. It's so funny. You put three Jews in a studio, they think everybody listening is Jewish. And I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah.
But
when in fact this show has a giant Haitian listening.
Actually, it's mostly Catholic, but
I will tell the story about who's on the air.
And explain
into the microphone.
To people out. Yeah.
Yes.
Explain to people what an Eskimo
A Jew is.
An Eskimo, as the way I understand it, is someone that brings you out of the darkness into the light. And if you're in the frozen tundra out there in the snow and you don't know how to get out, the Eskimo kind of guides you away. And the old story goes is that there's a guy sitting in the bar having a drink, and he says, how did you get out of the tundra? You know, how you were frozen. He says, I just got on my knees. I prayed to God. I just said, God, please get me out of this. Get me out of this. And then the guy said, did God get you out of this? He says, no, about 5 minutes later, an Eskimo came by and got me out of here. So, that's the old story. But Joel,
an Eskimo will also take you out of the cold and into an igloo.
Yes, into the warmth.
So, Joel, how do you and David know each other?
Oh, we're mishpacha. Dave's my cousin.
Oh, really?
In-law, but we dropped the in-law.
Yes. We're really great cousins because we're not related by blood.
That's why we're so close. And Joel
can actually like each other.
Joel is my Eskimo. Let me just give him. Joel, is it okay to give your info, your background? He's
100% welcome.
Absolutely, yeah. Joel is an MSW, works with social work and works with addicts, alcoholics, with the veteran, the VA. Which
that's awesome.
I'm a veteran. I'm a VA member, and I had an epiphany one night when it was just it was so bad, and I was just going through the insanity of trying to stop, and I just it was 7 a.m, and I was up all night, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And something came in my head was to call Joel, and someone who would be the last person on my list to call, because that would be confessing and basically taking contrary action, as we know around here, and basically telling someone, hey, I need help, to reach out, say I need help, and to have faith and trust, and it was the right decision. He talked to me for 2 hours, and he told me where to find help, and it's been fantastic ever since. That was 15 plus years ago.
What do you think it is? By the way, you're listening to Clean Radio Live. We're on the phone with Joel, Dave's our guest cousin. But what is it about alcoholism and addiction? And I'm asking this to you, Andrew, both of you. Why is it so hard to ask for help?
Well, I think there's a lot of shame and denial, and it's people want to keep using. Well, there's a part of addiction, there's a part in your brain that doesn't want to stop. There's a fear of, if you stop, that you're not going to get any reward at all. And it's something that you've come to rely on, and you feel you need just to feel even slightly okay, even though you're feeling sick and dying at the same time. So there's that fear that if you stop, what's really going to happen? Is it going to be worse? And if you tell people that you're going to stop, and most people that have a problem with drugs or alcohol have tried to stop on their own several times and failed. So they know that if they confess to someone close to them, that's like taking a bigger step towards actually taking responsibility for their drinking and using.
Right. And
there's a lot of embarrassment and shame if they fail again. So to have people that you can be close to, or people that can understand what you're going through and support you, whether you fail or whether you succeed, and will stick with you through that process of getting sober, that's what's important. I think that, when we talk about Eskimos, that's who that person is generally, is someone that, you're close to or you're friendly with, and that they understand what you're talking about, and you can trust them enough to share your deepest and darkest fear and secrets about what you've been doing.
And Joel, is Joel sober, or he's just an MSW?
MSW knows the
problem. Wow, just an MSW.
No,
Throw us all under the bus.
I didn't mean just an MSW, but it's amazing. What is it about Joel? And I want people to hear this out that are listening. I mean, I know you're on the phone, Joel, but what is it about your cousin that made you feel safe with him?
Well, that one,
because I want people out there that are listening to find that one person like Andrew is talking about.
Well, for me, it was like I had to logically think it out. Like, I was in this dark place, and I needed help, and I had really nobody that I thought I could call and trust, because my world was so small at the very bottom and the very end. And the bottom is where you stop digging. Okay,
Yeah.
I learned that you don't have to lose everything, and the bottom's where you stop digging. And that the fact is, I had a relationship, I had a connection with Joel, obviously from family and weddings and bar mitzvahs, etc. And the fact that he was a social worker at the VA, I'm a veteran, so I put all these things together as a sign, and that was what prompted that call. But I'd love to hear Joel's comment or take or on addiction and any questions.
Yeah, I was going to say that, if for anybody out there that's listening that may be helping another person come back into sobriety as an Eskimo, as I am, I think the most important thing is, as the people in the line are pointing out, is being non-judgmental. And that is that when a person comes to seek help, it's important for us to be there, non-judgmental, to be there for them, and to assist in any way we can. I can't change anybody. I can't make them do anything. But if they want, I'll be there for them any day of the week. And I think that's the common bond that Dave and I have, that he knows he's got me available to him when he needs. And that's to help and support and be there and give, an ear to whatever he wants to tell me.
Joel, this is a question that I would normally actually answer, but I'd like to ask you the question, and that's what's the difference between someone that's an enabler and someone that's helping people?
That's actually
Great question.
Yeah, that's a great question because, unfortunately, people cross that boundary way too many times. I think that someone that's helpful to someone who's seeking sobriety is someone who they themselves are strong with their own sense of self and who they are, and are willing to lend a hand. Yes, be unconditional, but also be that kind of strong support to give the guiding light that they might need, that person might need in order to seek sobriety, as opposed to the enabler who kind of falls victim to the person who is in addiction and wants so much to help them that they are, in essence, not helpful and may even be hurtful in that person's attempt to seek sobriety. So I don't know if there's any clear-cut guidelines, but it's watching that line, being supportive, being helpful, but yet not allowing the addict to kind of take over.
I mean, often, Joel, we see this with family members have the strongest problem with the boundary between being helpful and being an enabler, because they're so closely wound with their family member,
with guilt,
and here's a situation where you actually were able to manage that balance with Dave. Was that, you think, from your professional training and family members that are out there listening that are struggling with wanting to be supportive and still love their loved ones? What advice would you give them as far as getting support to maintain that boundary and how to properly approach dealing with their loved one?
Always seeking advice, kind of knowing your own boundary, where your line is, and then to, check it out with someone else. Am I doing right? And I also want to give credit to Dave. Dave really was at a point in his life where he was interested and willing to make the changes that were necessary. So I didn't do the work. He did the work, and that is the truth. And it's all his credit for getting himself to where he is today. And that's one more point I want to make. I'm sorry to go off subject, but Dave's ability to give back to others, when we talk about Yukaholics, I know that now that they've announced the dates and he's got the tickets, he's going to be at the VA trying to give back and to make sure that there are other veterans of his similar in similar situations that it's going to be available to them to come to the Yukaholics event. And he has done that year in and year out. And it's to his credit that he's able to kind of see that other people now before him are in the same situation that he was in, and he's able to give back to them. That's an important part of his sobriety.
Yeah, I'm going to second that, Joel. By the way, you're listening to Clean Radio Live, and you were talking about your cousin being of service, and David Martel is one of the who's in the studio tonight who helps put on Yukaholics. is one of the most giving and serviceable people to, and I say that that could come out wrong. And we're also in the studio tonight with legendary comedian, almost legendary comedian Barry Diamond.
Also quite serviceable.
Yeah. And
Family show.
And we're on the phone, with the person that helped David get sober. Yes, David.
I just want to make a comment. Thank you for the kind words, Joel. And I will say that, yes, I've helped facilitate, but there's been very kind and generous benefactors that always step up to the plate, that throw in extra cash and say, hey, bring somebody that can't afford. You know, Yukaholics says no one will be ever turned away due to a lack of funds. You know, which is a fantastic thing, but we have people that donate, and I basically facilitate and use that extra money, get the tickets, and give them to the VA and any other organization, you know, where the guys could use a laugh, you know, and certainly the veterans are a bunch that can.
That's actually really amazing. Joel, thank you so much for the call. You got a great cousin here.
But
Yes,
those people who do come in who do not have the funds to see the show may be asked to detail Mel Gibson's car at the end of the show.
Will Mel be there this year?
Well,
listen, you know, you guys give Mel a hard time, and I happen to know that Mel every year donates Kiddush, which is a lunch on Yom Kippur, which is the only day the Jews don't eat. So.
All right, let's jump into our next call. We got Judy from Tampa, Florida.
Our returning Judy.
Yeah, Judy, welcome to Clean Radio again.
Hi.
I think this is 4 weeks in a row, Judy.
I think it's 4 weeks in a row, too. I was able to listen to the first 2 weeks on YouTube, and I've had a hard time listening to the third week, but 12 days
of what?
Being sober.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Judy. Well, I wanted her to say it. That's why I asked. I knew what Judy was referring to.
Good.
And that's a first.
Yes. And Judy, is that sober off of everything or sober off of?
No, it is sober off weed, which is, I would say, my biggest vice.
Okay. That's great.
Alcohol, I will still drink. I don't think I have a problem with alcohol.
Okay.
It's weed. That's my main problem. But what I called about last week, I know I talked about my mother, and she just didn't understand. And I think we were in an environment where I couldn't explain it to her because we were in a bar, and she was kind of intoxicated, and she was just like, oh, you're using it as a crutch. How are you not fat? Blah, blah, blah.
That conversation can only happen at a bar.
Right.
Or in a church.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So it's not the best environment. So I called her later in the week, and I really just told her bottom line, pretty much the past 20 years of my life, and went into detail. And honestly, she finally got it. She was choked up. She even had to hang up the phone. And then she called back, I want to help you, because, financially, I had hit rock bottom.
Right.
Because you were spending so much of your money on weed.
Yeah.
Right.
And
we
Andrew
we had that discussion
and Andrew
the first week.
actually raised a good point, because you were talking about the fact that you don't have health insurance.
Right.
So
yeah,
maybe it's time to start putting the weed money
into some health insurance.
Exactly. I totally agree. My underlying problem is, I've got all sorts of issues. The main problem is anxiety. I have OCD. I've got body dysmorphic disorder. I compulsively exercise. I'm just, I'm a very anxious person, and
Our guest is in love, by the way.
Well, we were just going to say that we don't have that compulsive exercise problem.
No.
It's all compulsive eating.
Maybe you could try.
But we're very sympathetic to those of you who do have that issue.
So Judy, did you last week you said you would try to go to a 12-step meeting? Did that happen by any chance?
Okay, let me tell you. I have not gone to a 12-step meeting, but I did call for some local meetings in my area, and here's what I wanted to ask you guys.
Yes.
They were very friendly on the phone with me, and my boyfriend actually has gone to AA himself because he has issues with alcohol. And I had called and asked if my boyfriend and I could come, and I said he has an issue with alcohol, I have a problem with weed. And they said that I could not talk in the meeting because I don't have a problem with alcohol. However, my boyfriend could. And I'm just wondering, why can't I speak up in the meeting? Because I'm an addict nonetheless. Why is it just Why is it only strictly
question.
Yeah, that is a great
limited to
question.
alcohol?
Yeah, Judy, different meetings will have different rules. And AA in some places is very dogmatic about only being about alcohol.
They might have a closed meeting.
Right.
Right.
So and that's
Only for the
They'll call it a
alcoholic.
closed meeting just for alcoholics. So it's about finding another meeting, and there are other meetings. There's also MA, which is Marijuana Anonymous, which you could look up. And then NA might actually be more sympathetic as well.
But even NA, which is Narcotics Anonymous, they do ask you for total abstinence. You know, there's abstinence from drugs.
And you know, the thing that keeps coming up with these calls, Judy, is that you're clearly telling me when I'm listening to what you're saying that you're self-medicating your anxiety with marijuana, and now it seems to be alcohol is still the one that you're clinging on to. And I really think you should go see a doctor about the anxiety, because there's ways to treat and handle anxiety through things from exercise to possibly medication. And I think that, you know, you need to look at you know, having been using marijuana to deal with that anxiety, it's going to trip you up, that anxiety, if you don't deal with that underlying problem.
And the other things, like she was talking about, the body dysmorphia.
Yeah, I mean,
the
all of these
compulsive
things.
exercising.
Yeah, all these things are anxiety disorders, though. Even body dysmorphic disorder is an anxiety disorder.
Explain to people out there listening what that is, because
body dysmorphic disorder is where you actually don't have a real sense of what you look like and what your body's like, and you have a great fear about it to the point where you have extreme anxiety, or you cry and get very depressed and can't function because you're actually afraid that you look horrible.
okay. And Judy, let me ask you a question. A lot of people, we deal with this all the time, Andrew and I, David, who's sober. By the way, if you just tuned in, you're listening to Clean Radio Live. You know, we meet a lot of people that stop smoking marijuana, but they still want to drink.
Yeah.
We meet a lot of people that stop drinking, but they still want to
Start
smoke marijuana.
Going to marijuana
Right,
maintenance.
and it's like, in really, in the end of the day, Judy, the name of all the things you're doing is just get me out of Judy. That's really what you're doing with the marijuana, with the alcohol, with the compulsive exercise. And eventually what's going to happen, and I hope it doesn't, is that you're going to be out drinking one night and it's not going to be enough. And you're going to say, well, maybe I might want to smoke weed again. Andrew?
Yeah, or alcohol. You might just start drinking more alcohol.
Just drinking more alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big problems with alcohol is that it's hard to tell that you have a problem, because for most people it's a progressive illness that happens over about a 20 to 30 year period. Most people start drinking when they're about 12, and they don't recognize that they have a problem until they're about 30. That's beginning to shorten now that there's better education and understanding about alcoholism, and we're seeing a lot of younger people get into treatment earlier because, you know, they are recognizing the problem.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, my experience in this area is that people that have just complete only alcohol problems usually don't get sober till later years.
Except me.
Right.
I'm the rare bird.
Right, and there are exceptions, but, you know, drugs usually get people to hit their bottom a lot faster. When I was, I experimented with drugs when I was younger, and I drank as well. But when I went in the service, which was in the 80s, early 80s, drugs were frowned upon. The guys in Vietnam kind of ruined it for us, so you couldn't really do drugs anymore. But really,
although now we're having problems with Adderall. And,
yeah. But the point is, when in the 80s, it was
Ambien.
I focused. It was mainly drinking. You know,
Right.
so if the drugs aren't around, what are you going to be doing? And so
Yeah,
that
something to numb.
and then if you think about it, every 12-step program worldwide that has any mind-altering substances attached to it, where it's marijuana anonymous, any of these 12-step, they all have the exact same baseline, which is no alcohol.
By the way, if you just tuned
Interesting.
in, you're listening to Clean Radio Live. That's Clean with a K. Give us a call if you want to join the conversation. We're on the phone with Judy. The number here, by the way, is 888-539-2980. It's 888-539-2980. So, Judy, you've been off of...
Yeah, let me just make one more
sorry,
point real
go.
quick here with Judy. You know, the idea of total abstinence is very difficult, I think, for people to face. And there's a lot of arguments within the treatment community and as well as the sober community as to whether if you stop doing all drugs and alcohol, whether your anxiety will go away, and that your anxiety is part of your alcoholism or your drug addiction, or whether the anxiety is what created this self-medicating behavior that then led to...
Yeah, I've been anxiety-ridden since a child.
Okay, so but the point is that now that you've developed a problem with substance abuse, that now is just as much of a presenting problem as the anxiety. So if you don't treat both will continue. Like I can't think of a worse drug for you to take than marijuana, maybe other hallucinogens, to like spark and make an anxiety disorder worse. I mean, it tends to lead to paranoia. The number one reason for ER admits for marijuana use is from where people have just a total paranoid break, and they think they're having a heart attack, or they
especially
think
now it's 40 times worse.
Well, yeah, I mean, the THC content's gone from about 1% in the 60s to now as high as 27% THC levels.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting factoid that I learned from you guys last week or the week before, and it totally makes sense to me now why I became addicted and why I don't. It was like lightweight back in the day, and it's heavy duty stuff.
That was
now.
Barry's day.
No, it is intense.
Okay, so let's go for one. Okay, so you've been without marijuana for 12 days, which is awesome. We're giving you. I mean, it's just amazing, and it's amazing what you're trying. Okay, so from now till next week, let's try to do one more thing and add it to the list, Judy. Okay, let's try to not drink for the next 7 days, and no marijuana.
Do that.
Okay, so until next week's
and
show.
I would really like you to see a doctor.
Yeah. And
talk about your anxiety.
I'll tell you what, Judy, we're gonna help you find a doctor in Florida, and I know you're.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Honestly, the cash flow is low, Judah and Andrew.
Yeah.
I cannot see a doctor probably for another 2 weeks until the money starts rolling in again, because I have gone financially broke over pot. So I need something. I can see someone in 2 weeks. But right now, it would have to be somebody like on a sliding scale.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what. We're going to make some calls.
We know a lot of people in Florida,
and we're going to get you help.
We're going to get you some help.
But if you make the deal, we'll get you a doctor this week Andrew, a psychiatrist that you could go and see. But we want you to try and do that deal. Just try. Until next week's show, no pot.
We got to move on. Yeah. But Judy, we're going to put you on hold, and the producers are going to get your numbers so that we can line that up.
I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. You've been such a help.
Thank you, and we'll talk to you next week.
Judy, I really appreciate your struggle and hanging in there.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
You got it, Judy. If you just tuned in, you're listening to Clean Radio Live. It's amazing what she's trying. At the people out there, you hear somebody say, the reason why we're not saying stop is because if we did, she wouldn't listen.
Well, it's also too much. I think sometimes, people need to sort of learn the process. And if you just quickly jump into full sobriety without handling it properly, first of all, it can be very dangerous.
Right.
I mean, we're seeing more deaths from people going cold turkey, especially off benzodiazepines and alcohol. People having seizures and dying. So, if you've developed an addiction where you're using something, substantially, and you can't function without it, you need to see a doctor about detoxing in a way that's safe.
And I think people forget, and David's very familiar, obviously, Barry, in the old days, when they were detoxing people, and it talks about this, they gave them a little bit of, they gave them a little booze.
Well, that was the detox protocol for alcohol, was to give them alcohol and just wean them down. Titrate them off is the technical term.
And let's not forget chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate.
Which I've been feeding Barry 5 years now. Chocolate. And helping him stay sober. Right, Barry?
You got that right, Dave.
Is that part of your guys' training course?
Chocolate is actually classified as a drug, believe it or not.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I've met Yukaholics.
Yeah,
I don't want to say who because I don't want to break their anonymity.
Is that the dark or the milk?
But besides,
that's a racist joke, right?
Yukaholics. There's also Yukaholics.
Let's get back to it because we are running out of time.
One more plug?
You want as many plugs as you'd like for the next 4 minutes.
Yukaholics, Yukaholics. It's on Facebook. Just put it in there. It's September 29th, 2 p.m., 8 p.m. show. Tickets will be out, but just go on Facebook for all the updates. And it's a absolutely phenomenal show. And there's an intermission. There's a lot of great comedians are going to perform, and there's a lot of laughs and a good time.
You guys go outside of L.A., right? You have shows?
No, it's Beverly Hills High School Auditorium.
Not this show, but the other shows. Do you travel and do shows around the country? Or?
Well, I used to travel with a comedian, which was a lot of fun.
Not you. He means Yukaholics.
No. Yukaholics is just
it's just purely L.A.
annual show, L.A. Right. It's a grassroots. type thing. I mean, I'm sure, you know.
We travel by stagecoach from town to town.
You advertise Wells Fargo on the side?
Sometimes we take the local school marm from one location to another to educate the local Indian children.
And the almost legendary Barry Diamond will be performing.
I will be legendary in about 20 years.
Well, Barry does continue to do a phenomenal job all over the country, headlines around the country, and you can go to barrydiamond.com.
I want to tell you, it's one of the funniest shows. Bunch of years ago, I was at the Comedy Store. I got to see you. It's one of the funniest shows, and where you just sing this song, and What's Going On by Four Non Blondes.
I also sing Walking in Memphis. It's on YouTube.
Okay,
it's actually on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and type in Barry Diamond Walking in Memphis.
You know, we got a minute and 30 seconds here. You could sing us out.
Yeah.
He's going to do that for me tonight.
But before that, I was going to tell you, so I'm at the show, and I think he's going to stop singing. You know, I think it's like a bit, and you actually sang What's Going On by Four Non Blondes.
I didn't do the whole song. I only did a minute and a half of it.
Well, that's a long, and it was amazing.
So how do people reach us, Judah? Give them the KLEAN Facebook. We're about done here.
Yeah,
so.
Let's thank Dave and Barry.
Yeah, thank you
again.
both.
Thank you for
having
having us
so
Very
much.
nice. You guys are
How
doing a
about
great job
thanking
here.
us with a check? That was
And I told you,
You got a
food,
chicken dinner.
and that was
I will
enough.
put a check mark on your paper.
Salmon.
Like us on Facebook/KLEAN Radio. We had a couple calls we missed. We'll get to you next week. The discussion continues at KLEANradio.com.
Are you struggling with an addiction that's ruining your life? Want to have a confidential conversation with a professional that will immediately assist you? Do you suspect a loved one is abusing drugs and would like a free drug testing kit and consultation? KLEAN Treatment Center is standing by right now to help those with addictions and the people who care about them. Call 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. Or go to KLEAN Treatment Center, that's clean with a K, KLEANTreatmentCenter.com.